I have with me, this is my friend Brian. He and I ran the pre-release tournament for Magic the Gathering Rivals of Ixalan. We've been running tournaments together at the local game store for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years together, something like that. He's way better than I am at Magic. I feel like I've gotten way better. Like, you know how like you hit those like peaks where you like learn a lot and your brain like opens up to new ideas. I feel like I hit one of those real recently, but maybe I don't know. Maybe
did it hurt?
Yeah, a little bit actually. Did you hear about the bans?
I did.
Yeah. Well, oh damn. I was hoping you hadn't, so that you could be like, what?
I got a text today. It said "Wow," and it was a screenshot.
Yeah.
I think at the pre-release told you that 50% of the cards that were banned today, that those two were going to get banned. Ether Hub and Attune with Ether.
Attune with Ether, I was expecting.
And the Rogue Refiner were the two that I said yesterday or Saturday, whenever it was.
I don't remember you talking about Rogue Refiner, but I'm not shocked. And
I was surprised by the other two. I'm not that surprised by Running Up Red, but I'm pretty surprised by the other one.
I'm surprised about the dinosaur. Shoot, I don't have the list in front of me.
Raging Ferocidon, I think?
Yeah. Remnant Red makes sense if they just kind of like think 2 steps ahead. If we get rid of the top deck, the second deck has no competition. So let's just make sure the second deck, like, let's just kick out its kneecaps real quick.
That was the explanation they gave. I read the explanation about the bannings. And basically what they said is the red deck had a positive win rate against basically every deck except Teamer. And if they knocked Teamer out, then red might just be the dominating deck. And so they didn't want to allow that to happen too far, so they preemptively banned those two. Yeah. And the reason for the dinosaur specifically was that some of the ways to win against red was life gain and going wide, and that dinosaur prevents both of those things. And that's why they banned that card specifically.
So before we go back to Rivals Ixalan, one of the things that was mentioned in that article, as I kind of briefly read through it, they specifically are not banning any modern today. There is another opportunity to ban modern, and that is after the Pro Tour. And they are specifically waiting until after the Pro Tour just because they don't want the pros to be off their game.
Well, what they said is that they're waiting. The ban happens right before Grand Prix Lions, but they are having the paper effect like 2 or 3 days later so that the ban doesn't affect that Grand Prix.
Yeah. Isn't there also like a Pro Tour
There's event? A Pro Tour right before the bannings, but that's going to give them more information about what they want to ban. And
I see, okay.
Grand Prix, they're delaying the effective date till after Grand Prix Lions, which is also a modern event, so as not to screw up the people who practice for that Grand Prix.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I would be upset if they banned something 3 days before, especially when it's...
Or the day before.
Or the day before, yeah. So that's interesting. So anyway, because of that bombshell this morning on Magic the Gathering and doing a Magic the Gathering video, we had to talk about that, right? Like,
sure.
I felt that would be elephant in the room if we didn't. So anyway, going back to Rivals of Ixalan, we did a sealed event all weekend. So what?
One on Saturday, one on Sunday, 6 rounds each day.
Yeah, 14 hours of it, give or take. Like
7-8 hours each day. Yeah.
What are your first impressions?
It's slower than I expected. Now that said, it's sealed.
It is.
And
I mean, so I'm just gonna step in here real quickly. Ixalan, same feeling. I mean, the sealed is way slower.
That's true. And honestly, I think that there is more synergy in this set, more tribal going on in this set than there was in Ixalan, and so I feel like it's going to be more. There's going to be more discrepancy between sealed and draft than there was in Ixalan, because there's.
You think there's going to be more? Oh, because
there's more tribal, and you basically lose the tribal or mostly lose the tribal in sealed.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you know, actually, I felt I had more ability to do tribal in the sealed in Rivals than I did in the original Ixalan.
Was it dinosaurs?
No.
It wasn't dinosaurs?
It was, I had vampires. Because the Vampire Lord, I got the
Which one?
The uncommon one. It's white black. Let me just pull that up real quick. I think it's like Legion Lieutenant. White black. It's a 2/2 for white black. All other vampire creatures you control gain +1/+1.
The real Lord. Because there's other ones that are like lords, like your opponent loses a life for every vampire you control, or
right. Yeah.
But
well, I had those too, but I mean the fact that I had the +1/+1, the 5-drop ETB, all of your opponent loses 1 life for every vampire you had. I wasn't too worried about that because that can whiff and hit you for 1 or something like that. But the +1/+1, I mean, if I have 1 or 2 creatures out and they get +1. I mean, it just makes them so much. I mean,
it's also a 2/2 for 2.
Right. So a 2/2 for 2 in any most limited formats is playable. I mean,
although I gotta say, yesterday on Sunday, I had 2 decks built. I had a green-white sort of aggro deck with a bunch of 2-drops.
Yep.
And I drew too many 2-drops pretty regularly. I didn't draw any of my high end. I was only playing 16 lands in my high end. I had the 12/12 trample for 12 that gets cheaper for each power you have on the board, and I had the Ripjaw Raptor, the 4/5 that enrages to draw a card for 4 mana.
Yeah.
And I think I had a 5 mana 4/4, and basically everything else in the deck was 3 or less, with some tricks or enchantments. The +1/+1 lifelink that gives you a 1/1 vampire. I had a couple of those in the deck. And I just drew too many 2-drops and then just got outclassed on the board. So in sealed, I don't know that a 2/2 for 2 is necessarily always good.
That's fair. Yeah.
In the draft format, though, I think 2/2s for 2 will be playable most of the time if they have something else going for them. Like, I played plenty of Queen's Base Soldiers in Ixalan draft, and that is literally just a 2/2 for 2 that happens to be a vampire.
That has lifelink, right?
Nope.
Oh no, that's the black one. There's the one in a white that has lifelink. That's
right.
a 2/2. But you're right. But that is a vampire. Were you playing vampire decks for the
I didn't play in any non-vampire decks.
That's okay.
But I played in some vampire decks. So it was a 2/2 for 2 with something, which was keyword vampire.
Yeah. But that kind of adds to something else that I really wanted to say, because we did two sealeds. Thank you. One on Saturday, one on Sunday. What I learned on Saturday and implemented on Sunday was that I was also either getting outclassed by bigger creatures, basically like and I was also on both days, neither of my pools had enough 2-drops. So I felt like the set just doesn't have enough good 2-drops to play. So it was like,
oh, maybe you just didn't open them.
That's possible.
In 2 colors, I had too many 2-drops.
Yeah.
In one of my builds, I then went with my other build, which was much better. I only played 3 or 4 2-drops.
Yeah.
But I had 7 removal spells in that build. And what I discovered over both days is you have to play your removal spells. Both days I tried to play decks without removal spells that were tempo or aggro based, and both days I switched to the other deck and I did better.
We have like a common sorcery for 4, 2 black,
Impale.
destroy target creature.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing. I mean, granted,
it's a sorcery.
Yeah.
And we've had that before.
Yeah. We had Sure Strike from Oath of the Gatewatch. Wasn't that Sure Strike? No, it wasn't Sure Strike. It was Oblivion Strike.
Oh,
Exile.
Yeah.
It was exile target creature, but it was still like
it was only single black.
Oh, really? So
and it was devoid, so it was a colorless spell. Not that that's
yeah. But yeah. Anyway, like I don't know. I really felt like that this sealed was all about what big creatures you had, what big threats you have. Which, to be fair, that is a lot of sealeds. Like, what's your bomb? Where's your bomb?
But some sealeds aren't like that.
Yeah.
And some sealed aggro decks seem to have a shot, and I don't think
I would not
any of the aggro decks were very successful both days. In fact, the day one, the winner, the 6-0 player, he wasn't very experienced as far as tournament play goes, and he went 6-0 because he just had great cards. He had the Chupacabra, he had the Black Elder Dinosaur.
Which, is there more than one Chupacabra?
Not in this set. There is one in Ixalan.
Yeah.
Whenever you explore, you get to give -2/-2 to something, I believe.
So you're talking about the 2/2 for 4.
Yes.
ETB kill a creature.
Yeah.
Which is
Necrotal.
So it's impale and you get a 2/2.
Yes.
So
And it has the exact same mana cost, and it's an uncommon.
yeah.
And
It also can only be cast at sorcery speed, so it's not like there's literally no upside to playing Impale over the Chupacabra.
I would play both.
I would, yeah, no, I mean, in draft or sealed, if you have the option to play them, you will play all of them that you have, but that's not the point.
I think the Chupacabra is one of the best cards in the set for limited, and it's easily, far and away, the best uncommon in the set.
Really? I haven't,
I think it beats out most of the rares and mythic rares as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, wait. Hold on. There's one card I played against that was...
The Black Elder Dinosaur, I think, is actually the best card in the set.
Is it?
What card are you looking for?
The black-white
Enchantment.
Yeah. I mean, repeatable...
That card's also very good, but it uses a lot of mana, so it looked a lot better in the sealed deck than it will in draft.
Okay.
And it's 2 colors, which also makes it worse than draft, right? It's black and
Sure.
white. That card's very good. For anybody who doesn't know, I don't recall the name of the card, but it's a black, a white. There's the Black Elder Dinosaur that I was talking about. A black, a white, and 1 for an enchantment. It has the ability to pay a black, white, and 3, exile target creature. And then if you have 3 creatures exiled under this, transform it. On the other side, I believe it's a land, and you can pay 4 mana, I think, and tap
4 or
it.
5.
And you can put into play a creature that had been exiled by it. So you get to remove 3 creatures and then play those 3 creatures. Over time, of course, which I think is the strike against it. It's still very powerful, but it's only powerful if you can cast it and use it. I think that the best card in the set is the Black Elder Dinosaur, which is a 6/6 Death Touch for black, black, and 4, and it has the ability pay a black and reveal it from your hand, put a prey counter on target creature, and then when you I'm not sure if it's when you cast it or when it comes into play, you destroy all creatures with prey counters on them. So you can put prey counters what does it say? Because it comes into play or cast. Enters the battlefield.
Okay.
So you can
counter it.
You can reveal it 3 or 4 or 5 times before you cast it, depending on how much available black mana you have. And then you cast it, and you get a 2 or 3 or 4 for 1. And also, it's actually for 0 because you got a 6/6 Death Touch. You didn't use up your card, and a 6/6 Death Touch then has to be dealt with. So
well, you just count that as an extra card. So it's like the Chupacabra is automatically a 2 for 1 because you
get a card and you kill a card.
Yes.
In this case, I was talking about killing between 2 and 5 cards, and getting a card.
So it's like a 6 for 1.
Right.
But and even more so, it is a 6-drop. So on turn 5, you can theoretically on turn 5 put down
like 3.
Let's say 3. 3 is, I would say, pushing it. You could really easily put like 2. I would say you.
But you could have done 1 or 2 on the previous turn.
Sure. Yeah. So on turn 4 you do 2. Turn 5 maybe you do 3.
Or that means they also have 5 creatures. Maybe they only have 4 creatures, and then you kill them all and you cast it on the next turn.
I mean, so there's that.
It's pretty nuts.
And then if they actually have I don't know. So there's so much craziness with that. I mean, and frankly, aren't all of the Elder Dinosaurs bombs? Crazy bombs?
I think so. So there's the green one is the 12/12 trample for 12.
Which
green, and 10, and it costs 1 less for every total power among creatures you control. So if you have 6 power on creatures, it's a 6 mana 12/12 trample.
Yeah. Now, yesterday, so both Brian and I had it on Sunday, as well as another guy. There was one time all 4 players at the table had it, and it was like, wait a minute. So I wonder if this is like a small set or something.
It is a small set.
Like a really small set.
It's 100 and it was either 56 or 66 cards. But it's part 2 of a block. Part 2 of a block is always a small set. It's always somewhere in the ballpark of 150 cards.
I don't know. I just don't remember this with I don't know. It just seems so much. Some of the rares were just showing up so much.
Yeah, it's a small set.
Yeah.
And Ixalan was about 100, 250-ish. It's probably like 260, 265. So there's 100 fewer cards in this set.
Yeah.
And I think, in general, about a third of the set or a quarter of the set is rares. So, there's 25 fewer rares in this set, roughly.
Is that? No, that's not it.
Um,
I still can't find that flip card that I was talking about.
that's right.
Nobody even cares except for me. I'm like, I gotta find it.
The red Elder Dinosaur is the 6/6 for 6 as well. Red, and 4. Whenever it attacks, you get to exile the top card of both players' libraries, and then you can cast each of them. The white one is the 8
every
mana.
keyword.
Yeah, the 8 mana 4/8 flying, indestructible, double strike, vigilance, and trample.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
it's
8 mana.
Well, but if you're gonna spend 8 mana, the fact that the word indestructible on it
Yeah.
means that you can spend 8 mana, because it's so scary to spend 6+ mana on something. It hits the floor and then impale, and it's like, well, they just spent 4 to kill my bomb, and
All of the Elder Dinosaurs have protection against that, except for the red one and the green one. But the red one attacks once, and you got your value, and the green one you can actually play for 2, which I did once yesterday.
in Constructed, every time I drew it, I paid 2 to play it. Like, I just always paid 2. Like, I always looked down, and I was like, oh, I've got 10 power on the board.
And then the blue one, which we haven't talked about yet, is a 7/7 for 7. It can't be countered, which isn't super relevant. You have no maximum hand size, also not super relevant. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. That's kind of a big deal. And then you can discard 3 cards to exile it and return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So for 3 cards, you can save it, which could easily be worth it if you can get extra cards out of it from your opponent playing more spells. So if they try to kill it, you draw a card, and then you can discard 3 cards.
Oh, you do draw. Yeah. You know what's funny? I killed it with the Chupacabra, which is a creature spell.
That's true.
So he was holding 2 cards in hand, just prepared for it, and I was like, Chupacabra. He's like, of the 5 Elder Dinosaurs, I mean, I feel like the worst one is the blue one.
No, it's the white one.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, no, yeah.
Once resolved, it's probably the blue one.
That's fair.
No, that's not fair. The green one. Because the green one can just be killed.
That's true.
Although the blue one can be chump blocked for days, so there's that too. But the black one is just ridiculous, and the red one is also amazing. And the white one, once resolved, is also amazing, but it's 8 mana.
Yeah. That's funny. Like, it's funny how, like, when you cover up the mana costs, how much it changes the value of them. Because, like, the green one, even if you drop it, okay, not doing the math, I'm sure we can figure this out, but it's like, if you drop it turn 4, boom. Like, I mean...
Yeah, turn 4 is not likely. Turn 5 seems reasonably possible. Mm-hmm. Turn 6, I think, is the time when you're most likely to see it.
Yeah. Well, that means you just need 4 power on the board.
No, you need 6 power on the board.
You need 6 power on the board.
Yeah.
But
if you're going to play it on turn 4 with 4 mana, now maybe you've gotten a treasure or something. So let's say you have 5 mana. Mm-hmm. So then you need 7 power on the board on turn 3.
Okay.
So that's pretty unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
But if you still have that treasure on turn 5, then you only need 6 power on the board by turn 4, which is doable.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that the Forerunners are all great, and I think they're also part of the whole Tribals. Tribal's going to be a bigger deal in this set, or there's better payoff for it.
Oh yeah, because they fetch their
and then do something when you cast their tribe.
Well, it's like this one fetches. I mean, there's like the obvious ones. This one fetches dinosaur, fetches a merfolk, fetches a vampire. Do these both do pirates?
This one does. This is a mythic. It's unrelated to them. Sorry, I keep forgetting you have a touchscreen.
It's okay. Well, you shouldn't be touching non-touch screens.
This is one of the other best cards in the set, I think.
Yeah. Before we get too far away from the dinosaurs, the one thing that I really wanted to talk about is I think that coming up in this draft, it is going to be if you want to talk about a Prince or a Pauper set, this is I think it's very heavily going to be a Prince set. It's going to be about the rares. Because if you pull one of these dinosaurs, I mean...
Which, by the way, all the Elder Dinosaurs are rares. None of them are mythics.
That's the point I was trying to get across. They're crazy for rares, right?
Well, the white one's not.
The white one and the green one. Green one's...
And the blue one. Like, the blue one and the green one are fair for rares, I think.
Okay.
And the white one is very clearly a rare, and it's not... Like, I don't think people are going to play it that often, honestly, because 8 mana is a lot.
Yeah. It's okay.
The black one is crazy for a rare.
Yeah.
And I think the red one is, like, a super strong rare. It could have been a mythic, but they're not going to make the red one and the black one mythics, and the other one's not. But,
sure, yeah.
But the red one is very strong. That said, you can kill the red one and you just spent 6 mana on nothing.
Yeah, but I'm willing to risk it on 6.
Sure, absolutely.
On 7, I'm making decisions on whether or not I'm risking it, depending on what the rest of my deck is. But on 6, I'm just risking it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the red one every time, and I'm probably going to pick it first or second every time I see it.
Right, and so that's what I'm saying, is that it's going to be a print set, because if you get the green, the red, or the black, you're going to force that color, because that's such a good card. Maybe not green, but green is like you're already heavily leaning that way.
There's also a lot more mana fixing in this set, which makes it easier to force a color if you need to.
Yeah.
Evolving Wilds is at common. You have all the enemy dual lands at uncommon. So that comes into play tapped, and then tapped for one of 2 colors. And then you have Traveler's Amulet at common as well. Oh wow, yeah. And those 2 of those were artifacts. Or colorless. And Evolving Wilds.
Right, yeah. So those just fix for every color.
Right.
And so...
You don't even have to be in green for your fixing.
And that's one of those things that suggests to me that it's going to be a slower format, that they give us those tools.
But if you look at the Merfolk, the Merfolk can get really aggressive. They were in the last set too. In this one, you don't have as many games that are going to go with the one with the wind, can't answer it, win the game, because you only have 1 pack with 1 with the wind.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of really strong Merfolk, and there's a lot of unblockable ones in this set.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more synergy for it. So I feel like Merfolk can run people over, and Red-White was able to run people over in the last set. I don't see any reason why that would change in this set.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's slowing down. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just being very hopeful.
There is more removal, so I think it will slow some.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be a slow set by any means. I think it's still going to be a fast set.
Okay. What do you think about the fact that they reprinted some of these commons?
I think some of them make sense and some of them are kind of weird.
Yeah. So the obvious one that makes sense is Legion Conquistador.
Yeah.
You either want 4 of those or you want 0 of those.
I play 3, but yes.
Okay. Because when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any number of copies of itself.
But it's also a Grey Ogre, so it's 3 mana for a 2/2.
Right.
With a vampire, that's a vampire, so it has a relevant creature type, which is what makes it playable.
Right. In Limited 2, there are times where it's like, I just need a blocker to give me a turn to get an extra land into play, or something like that.
I don't think that's you want to be drafting and playing cards for that reason. That'll come up sometimes, but that's not what you build your deck for.
I agree. It's one thing to say that, but it's also the added addition is that it's like you play that card, draw 3 more 2/2s for 3.
That's the real reason that you're
playing. And it's like, okay, cool. Like that's
that, and it's a vampire, and the vampire deck cares about having vampires. So.
Yeah. And it's very likely that with the uncommon +1/+1 Lord, that it's like now that's a 3/3 for 3, and you draw 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them.
That is an uncommon, I'll point out. So you're not going to see a lot of them.
You're not going to see a lot of them, but you would pick the 1/1 first, and the Legion Conquistador is going to pass around a lot more.
There's also I think it's a 5 mana 3/3, 5 mana 4/4, and when it comes into play, you lose X and draw X, where X is the number of vampires you control.
That's a rare. Champion of Dusk.
Oh, it's a rare? Oh, okay. I thought it was uncommon.
But see, now that's a rare that if you get that, you force vampires, right?
No, because it's good enough by itself. A 5 mana 4/4 that says lose a life, draw a card, I'd play that in any deck.
Sure, yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with you there.
And to be honest, if you have 7 vampires in play, you might not want to play Champion of Dusk. Lose 7, draw 7. That could be dangerous. It depends on where you are in the game. Plus, if you have 4 cards in hand and you draw 7, you're discarding a bunch of those anyways.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, for the record, Grizzlebrand would disagree with you.
Grizzlebrand also has lifelink.
Yeah.
There's also the Paladin that's a vampire. It's a 3/3 for 2. but it doesn't untap during your untap step, but when you gain life, you get to untap it, which is sort of a vampire payoff because so many vampires have lifelink.
Sure, yeah.
So there's a lot of those.
It's a vampire, though.
It's a vampire.
It is a vampire, so it fits into... So it's both a payoff and a...
Sure.
And a help.
And it doesn't help your other vampires other than being a vampire.
Right, yeah.
But I think the big synergy thing that you're going to see is the forerunners in each of the tribes.
Yeah. What are their mana costs?
They're 3 or 4 each. I think.
3, 3, 3, 4, 4.
Yeah.
3, 3, 4, 4.
This one's not one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What do you think of Ascend? This is the only new mechanic, which is weird. I can't remember the last time we had
only one new ability. Yeah, I can't remember either, and I've been playing a long time. I think Ascend is interesting. When I first read it, I kind of thought that Ascend would be really easy to do. And then I read some reviews, and people seemed to think that Ascend was going to be a lot harder. And then I played the sealed format, and Ascend actually seemed not that difficult, but games also went pretty long. So in draft, I think that it's going to be harder than I initially thought. I think that there's a lot of games that you won't Ascend, so I wouldn't build around Ascend unless the card kind of helps you get to Ascend by itself. So for example, that, was it like Tender Shoot something or another? It's a 2/2 for 5. During each player's upkeep, that's yours and your opponent's, you get a 1/1 Sapperling token, and then when you Ascend, all of your Sapperling tokens have +2/+2, as long as the creature stays in play. That one basically gives you Ascend by itself. Similarly, the 1/1 for red and 1, it's also a rare. When it attacks, you can pay red and X, and put X 1/1 red elemental tokens with haste. Actually, I don't know if they have haste, but they're tapped and attacking into play.
They don't, but they're tapped and attacking.
Right, okay. And you exile them at the end of the turn, or combat, I'm not sure, but you exile them.
End of turn.
Unless you have the City's Blessing.
I know because I played with the card.
Right, I did too, but it was never relevant because I always Ascended after I activated it.
I usually had Ascend when it was activated.
It usually gave me Ascend when I activated it. Or it gave
that
me
that just meant you got it early.
I played it a lot on turn 3 or 4, and then would activate it with 5 tokens.
Yeah, and that's another rare, and that
Tillinolly Summoner.
I mean, it explodes into 5 creatures.
Often, yeah. The problem is it's super fragile. So there's a lot of removal in this set, and there's some stuff that's not removal that still kills it.
There is Shake the Foundations.
Yeah,
which is someone mainboarded it, and it shocked me because it
did it shake your foundations?
It did. It did. Someone mainboarded it and just wrecked me. So either they really understood the meta, or they
had a bunch of Enrage in their deck. Because it triggers Enrage.
Yes, that's true. So
which is the real reason to play that card, I think. Mm-hmm. It also says draw a card, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But but that's not what there's that, but there's also I think it's Tillinolly's Crown, which when it comes into play, it's an enchant creature, it gives +3/+0, but when it comes into play, deal 1 damage to the enchanted creature, which of course is supposed to be for enraged creatures. You put it on a dinosaur, it enrages, and then you get to attack with it. But it also kills that guy. It kills my 1/1 that makes a bunch of guys. Yeah. I had that happen more than once.
Really? Oh.
Against me, yeah.
I didn't play red. I splashed red. I didn't play red, so I didn't have the opportunity to play that card, and I just never saw it.
I had a couple opponents. It's a common, so...
Yeah. I had 2 of them.
It's super fragile. That said, if you can get an attack in with it, if you're not already pretty far behind, I think it's tough to lose at that point. Mm-hmm. They are only 1/1, so if they just sit back with 4 creatures, and you send it, and get 5 1/1s, and they eat 3 of them... and you've lost your guy, that's not much. But if you also have other creatures going with it, and they're taking 6 or 8 or 10 damage in the process, then it's fine.
Yeah. On the note of it being fragile, I do just want to quickly mention, it is a 2-drop. So, what kind
But the tokens only stay around once you've Ascended, which means it's not really that good until turn 5 or so. Mm-hmm. Right? Because on turn 5, you have 5 lands, maybe, and then you have that, and then you pay a red and X, which is 4 and attack, and now you have 5 creatures and 5 lands, which lets you ascend.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you miss a land drop, maybe you've played a creature beforehand, whatever.
Those
but
numbers can change quite a bit, yeah.
It's roughly turn 5 where that card becomes actually good. Because if you lose the 1/1s at the end, it's just a bad fireball. Right? Because you can't hit creatures with it, basically. Yeah. And you have to, if they have any blockers, then you lose your fireball. So it's it is a 2-drop, but it's not super useful before about turn 5.
Yeah.
In my view.
Would you ever not run it if you were in red?
No, but it's not necessarily gonna push me hard into red.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily gonna first pick it. I might first pick it, but I'd take a Chupacabra over it.
Okay. Sure. Yeah,
that's uncommon.
Yeah.
Right?
Is there other odd comments you think you'd take over it? Do you think you'd take the Lords over it?
No.
No.
Not first pick. If I was already, if pack 1 was done and I was already in one of those decks, say I was in
pack 2, you'd
say I was in black red pirates, and then pack 2 I open the pirate the Forerunner. I might take the Forerunner over it, but it would be close.
When I say Lord, I'm actually talking about the +1/+1.
Oh well, there's only 2 of those. There's Vampire and Merfolk.
Oh, there isn't a pirate one?
No.
Oh, okay. Dinosaurs don't need it. They got enough
Well,
power.
Dinosaurs got one in Ixalan, but it's a 7-mana Lord.
Oh,
and then it makes more dinosaurs.
Yeah. I'm talking about uncommons, though.
Right. Well, that is an uncommon.
I'm just looking through, I'm trying to look at uncommons that jump out at me. Yeah, I mean, like the Chupacabra. The Chupacabra is amazing.
Well, and Bombard's great, too.
What's Bombard?
It's red and 2 instant, 4 damage to target creature.
Would you take that over the one?
No.
The 1/1 for 2?
No, because the 1/1 for 2 has a way higher upside. But I'm sure I will be first picking Bombard more than once in this format. Pack 1, pick 1.
There's no good rares. There's no Chupacabra. What am I gonna take?
There's some uncommons I might take over it, but Bombard's very strong.
Yeah, I was actually I was annoyed how often my opponent had 5 power creatures.
5 toughness creatures?
Yes, I'm sorry, 5 toughness creatures, thank you. I was annoyed
It's a 5/1, I can't bombard it!
And then, or the worst part is, it's like they have a 4/4, and it's like, oh good, I can bombard them. I just need to untap. Their second main phase, somehow they give it a counter. It's not Hunt the Weak. So, they killed my creature, they pumped it for 1, and they blinked my bombard. It's like, done!
Now that we've talked about Hunt the Weak, that art is awesome.
That art is disturbing. Hunt the Weak is the epitome of disturbing artwork. Where is that?
What do they call them in this set? They call them sawtooths or something. But
you actually know the dinosaur that it's from?
Well, it looks like a T-Rex mouth, basically.
Okay.
But in this set, I think they call them sawtooths or something. So it's inside of a mouth of a dinosaur while it's looking at, what is that, a goblin?
It's a goblin pirate of some kind, yeah.
That it's about to eat, and I love it. I think it's fantastic.
There's, one of my...
Also, that card's way better in this set than it's been in a while, I think.
My favorite flavor text so far. I haven't read all the flavor text, but my favorite flavor text...
You haven't read all the flavor text yet? Dude, we pre-released already. How can you not read a single card?
And we're doing the set review. Did you not do your research? The Ozorka Raptor.
What's it say? If you come across a raptor in the city, stay perfectly still. At least then you'll be well rested when you die. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We didn't finish talking about the weird reprints.
Weird reprints, yeah. So, okay. What?
So we did the Legion Conquistador, it makes sense. Raptor's Companion, which is 3/1 for a white and 1. I guess it kind of makes sense because it's sort of a signpost common. I know that's a weird thing to say, but it's a dinosaur. It's a 3/1 in white, and that's basically what white's doing. They're doing vampires and they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty big deal in like the red-white dinosaurs deck. So maybe they just wanted to make sure the red-white dinosaurs deck got to stick around, and that's sort of the bread and butter of that deck.
Honestly, when I saw the Colossal Dreadmont and I saw that one, my thought process was Wizard of the Coast realizing that they don't need to spend extra money to create another 3/1 for 2 other dinosaur.
Just so that there's a differently named one.
Just because it's the new set. Yeah.
Well,
I don't think that there's any...
I don't think they've done that before either, where they just have a functional reprint in this like one set after the other, where they're going to be drafted together. That's the part that's weird about it. Not that it's the same named card, but that it's a functional reprint. It's
a functional reprint, but I like. I don't have a term for it, but I would say that I'm sure that if you went back to Aether Revolt versus Kaladesh, they would have like it's not a functional reprint, but basically a functional reprint, where red has a 2-drop slot that effectively is the same thing as a 2-drop from Kaladesh, but it's like they spent time and money to create that. So obviously like the power and toughnesses are different. And maybe it's a first strike instead of a trample, but it fits the same.
That's a very different card, though.
Okay.
What you just described.
Okay. My point being, my point being is that they still want something for that slot, and instead of doing all this work to get something that effectively fills the same slot for the decks and such, they're like, well, this did it, so let's just go ahead and just reprint it. And it saves money.
Or maybe they were lazy because it's the last time they're doing
That's fair. It could be that.
I think you're right. But it does feel a little strange because I don't remember ever seeing this before. Yeah. I think the closest I remember seeing was the 5 mana target creature gets -4/-4 in Fate Reforged, and then the next set they had Flatten, which was 4 mana for the exact same effect.
Say it again.
It was black and 4... instant target creature gets -4/-4 till end turn, and then in Dragons of Tarkir they had the exact same effect for a black and 3.
Yeah.
I think that's the closest I remember having a weird reprint that was getting played with itself.
Okay. That I would assume that that's what I'm talking about. That they made that decision. They realized that that's kind of the same slot they needed to fill, and they're like, oh, well, we can't do the same thing. So how do we want to change it? And they knocked down the mana cost.
And maybe in that set they wanted there to be more removal because it was more dragons or something.
Yeah, I think it's easier to say too with the Colossal Dreadmont. It's a 6/6 for 6 with trample in green.
Yeah.
Now you could change it to a 5/5 for 5 with trample, a 6/5 for 5 without trample, and or
with reach.
With reach,
a 5/6 for 6 with reach.
Yeah, and suddenly like. That is all kind of the same archetype slot, but it's like, do we need to change that, or should, like, green is going to get a big beefy creature that is going to just swing in a lot of the time.
And it has to be a dinosaur.
So do we need to spend money and design space on this, or should we spend design space on some of the rares that are going to fit into Modern, or fit into Commander? Right?
Right.
You know, and so that's what I thought when I saw those. I think there's like one for blue and one for... The one for blue, like, I didn't...
What is it? I don't even remember.
Sailor Means.
Oh, that's right, Sailor Means. That is kind of a weird reprint. Like, I don't know that blue needed that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, right? Like, it's a fine card.
You know, it might be interesting is that maybe blue does need it, and we just don't see it yet in draft.
It's possible.
It's a 1/4 for 3 ETB, create a treasure token. So maybe blue really wants those treasure tokens. It might be one of those things that the blue card set really wants to splash some things. Maybe
did red get one? I don't.
Yes, they did. It was the 4/2 for 3 dinosaur.
That's in green.
So red doesn't have one.
Red doesn't have one.
Okay, so the green one fits a role. You were saying?
Yeah. So I think the red one fit a role in Ixalan because the white-red dinosaur deck, that was actually a pretty good card in that deck. Much like the 3/1 for 2 was a good card in that deck. Mm-hmm. And it being a dinosaur is very relevant. The 4/2 in green, I mean, it's a playable card and people will definitely play it. It is also a dinosaur, which is relevant because green also cares about dinosaurs. But I don't think it'll be as good in green because green is not going to be as aggressive as red was in Ixalan.
You know, Golden Guardian, I got to play with that card. It's an artifact. Oh my god, that was so good. I
like the design of that card. I think it's a really cool designed card.
So just to read it off, it's a 4/4 for 4, colorless, Defender. You can pay 2. Golden Guardian fights another target creature you control, which I haven't seen that phrasing on any other card.
Yeah, I don't know if I have.
Yeah. When Golden Guardian dies this turn, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. When it's transformed, it's a land gold forge garrison. Taps for 2 mana of any color, which is a big deal in Commander. It was a big deal. The one time I tapped it for mana, my opponent goes, it taps for 2? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, that's stupid. But pay 4 and tap it, create a 4/4 colorless golem.
Which doesn't have Defender, by the way.
So yeah, it's going to start swinging. This was just...
I think that the backside of this card is nuts, and the front side is not that difficult to transform. Now, it's difficult to transform without, like, losing something, without killing one of your own creatures. But it's not difficult to transform.
Well, so when I got to play with it, and my experience was I could block with it and lose a 1/1.
And something else. Block with it and something else, and then just kill the thing that was going to die in combat anyways, and then your guy doesn't die, but then it dies in combat because it's taken 2 damage.
There's that. Yeah. So block in combat, kill a 1/1. Either the Golden Guardian is going to die because it's up against a Death Touch, or it's up against a bigger creature, or it's going to trade, whatever, something along those lines.
It can trade with a 2/2, right? If you have a 2/2, because you can fight your own 2/2. It's now taking 2, and it's blocking a 2/2, and now it dies. Now that said, your opponent's probably not going to give you that opportunity very often.
They're going to try to, not to. So that didn't happen too often because they saw that coming. What I did more often, I was in Dinosaurs, and I'd have a 5/5 on the battlefield. So at the end of their turn, I would fight the 5/5 and just flip it.
Which is especially awesome if your 5/5 had Enrage.
Yeah, like I don't. Oh, I did. I had the one that Enrage put a Saproling into play. It's a 4/4, but I had a 1/1 counter on it from Hunt the Week. So it was like, fight it, get a 1/1, flip it, next turn, pass turn.
But that's a lot of work.
You're right. Yeah, it is. I'm just saying, like, I never had too much of a problem flipping it.
You were also in Sealed.
I wasn't Sealed, so then I got a lot more time to do it.
This blocks pretty well. I mean, it's a 4/4 for 4.
Mm-hmm.
You can't attack, but
so
it does
gives
block
you
for a
time
while
to get what you need. Yeah.
Right. I think that card's very good. I don't think it's a straight bomb, but I'm going to pick it pretty high. It's also colorless, so it can go in almost anything. I probably am not playing it in red-white, because red-white's probably aggressive, and I don't want a 4-mana defender in my
That's
aggressive
like
deck.
one of the few that you're not playing it in.
Yeah, I might not play it in Merfolk, too.
Well, that's okay, because that's another Blitz deck.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I got to play with it, and it was like, it was a bomb. If it came out, it was like, here's my opponent's next problem.
So what is your favorite card so far? And not because of power level, but just what was the most fun for you to play with or against? I can tell you what mine was.
Yeah, tell me yours.
It was Cherished Hatchling? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Cherished Hatchling?
Okay. That was fun to play against.
So, Cherished Hatchling is, if I have the name right, is a 2/1 dinosaur for a 3/1, and it says, when it dies, until the end of your turn, Cherished Hatchling. Until the end of your turn, dinosaur spells this turn, you can cast as though they have flash, and whenever a dinosaur spell is cast this turn, it gains, when this creature enters the battlefield, you may have it fight another target creature. So, you get to play sort of this game of chicken with your opponent, where you can attack, and you have 4 mana open, say, and they're like, uh-oh, does he have a 4-mana dinosaur? Alright, I'll just take 2. Or, you just leave it back, and they're like, alright, I could attack and get some damage in, but he's got mana up, so I might kill his 2/1, and then he takes down a dinosaur and fights. And I actually got to do it once, where I traded with something, and then I played Ripjaw Raptor, which is the 4/5 Enrage draw card, and I fought one of their creatures, and killed it, and then I got to draw a card off the Enrage.
Oh my God.
It felt really dirty.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like a super good card or anything. It's a 2/1 for 2, so it's probably playable. Although I will say 2/1s are much worse than 2/2s in this set because of all the vampire tokens and merfolk tokens.
And sapperling tokens.
Well, there's a rare that produces a sapperling token, and there's the 4/4 that enrages. But if you have a 4/4, your 2/1's no good anyways, right?
Yeah, so, that's true. No, it is. It very much is.
Well, okay,
because this
2/1, not this 2/1. But just the play patterns where your opponent has to worry if you have open mana to get into combat with this card, I think makes this card super fun. I really like the design on this card. I don't think it's fantastic by any means, but I think it's reasonable.
Oh sure, it creates a different game.
Yeah,
I mean
which of course is why I like it. I mean, I played Dredge in Modern, right? So.
Yeah, we just weren't allowed to we just stared each other down at that point. It's like I attack, no blocks,
Ha! Got you. I didn't have any dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Except you never say that because then you don't get to bluff again.
Or you're bluffing and you've got dinosaurs.
Sure, you could be a lying jerk, but
just lie to their face. So, okay, I'm gonna say this. Honestly, as the set was being released in spoilers, there was only one card that at all jumped out as me as cool. There's plenty of cool cards, but none of them were like, oh my god, I'm so excited to play with this card. The only one was Zakama. The 9/9.
You mean the one that's unplayable?
The one that's yeah. But I mean, the only thing is, obviously it's a commander card. You're not there's not a lot of pump or not ramp.
There's actually a reasonable amount. So when I jokingly said the one that's unplayable, that's not entirely true. I think you can play it. So it's
hard. I mean,
it's red, white, green, and 6 for a 9/9 legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you can untap all lands you control. You can pay a red and 2 to deal 3 damage to target creature. You can pay a green and 2 to destroy target artifact or enchantment. And you can pay a white or 2 to gain 3 life. So if you cast it, you're in pretty good shape because you get to untap and probably kill 2 creatures or something. But it's 9 mana, and in 3 colors. So the ways that you can help get there, there's an uncommon in Ixalan that makes all your dinosaurs cost 1 less. And you can tap it to give haste to a dinosaur.
There's a common too.
Right, in white, there's a 0/3. There's
and there's 1 in green that
there's the 1
by 2.
Yeah, but that's in the new set. I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay.
There's the uncommon that's a 1/1 that you can tap for any color. It costs 2 mana, and then it gets +2/+2 if you have a dinosaur. And then you have in green enchantment, I forget what it's called, but it's a green and 2 enchant land.
Oh yeah,
when it comes into
New
play,
Horizons.
Yeah, when it comes into play, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. And then in Rivals, you get the green-white that we have up on the screen there. It's a green and white and 1 for a 2/3. It's uncommon. Tap, add a mana of any color in your mana pool, sacrifice it, return target dinosaur card from your graveyard to your hand. You also have the Rampant Growth. It costs 3 mana, but it costs 2 if you reveal a dinosaur from your hand. You have the one you just mentioned.
4-drop creature. It's a 2/4 for 4. All dinosaur spells cost you 2. It costs 2 less to cast for you.
So there's also a colorless artifact that costs 3. It taps for colorless. So with all those cards that we just mentioned, the ramp deck I think is a thing. Almost all of the cards I just mentioned were green, with the exception of the one that makes dinosaurs cheaper, which is a red card, and the white one that makes dinosaurs cheaper. But all the rest of those cards were green. I guess the Toscan Seer is green-white specifically, but Zakama is green-red-white.
Right.
So I think
you're probably
it's
going to
doable.
do 2 of them and splash the 3rd.
If you have a Zakama, if you first pick a Zakama, which by the way I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but if you 5th pick a Zakama after you've started down that path, you could totally get into a ramp deck and play Zakama. So it's not unplayable.
Yeah.
It's just very hard to play.
That's fair. And that, now, to be fair, that is also for draft.
Yes.
I mean, I'm excited about it because of Commander.
Sure. I mean, I opened a promo one day 1 of the pre-release and traded it. It was worth $40.
Yeah.
The regular one was worth $6. You know why? Commander.
Yeah. Especially your Commander. You want your Commander to be the cool card. But it just It's super cool. So anyway, that was the only one that was exciting to me. All the rest, I mean, there's totally cool cards in here. I mean, the Lords are exciting to me, which is why I've talked
So
about
Alex,
them.
would you say that you're a Timmy
Oh, absolutely.
and I'm a Spike?
Like, yeah, not even a question about it. Like,
Because the card I picked out was a 2-drop that makes it hard for your opponent to make decisions. And the card you picked out is an expensive card.
yeah, that does all the things. You know what? I was with my friends down in LA once, and there was 3 of us, and we designed our own format. And so we went home, and we all built a deck, and we came back the next day. And I had built a green ramp deck. The friend next to me built a combo deck, and the third friend built the clock, as in like the red blitz deck that very consistently kills you on a specific turn by a specific turn. And I was like, oh, I know who we are now. Summing up everything that we just said, what are you expecting from Rivals of Ixalan in our drafts?
I expect it to be aggressive, but probably a little less aggressive than straight Ixalan was.
Okay.
There's a lot more removal, so I think that there's more room to build sort of a controlling deck, which I think was pretty tough to do in straight Ixalan. I think that there's more synergy in Tribal than there was before, not because there's more creatures of the type, but because I feel like there's more payoffs.
Yes, okay. The payoffs are actually good in Ixalan. There was a lot it was just this is supposed to be the payoff card, and it's not.
And I think I don't know that there's actually more enablers in this set than there was in the last set. I guess really an enabler is just a creature.
I just realized I'm like shaking, and I'm shaking the table, and the camera is sitting on the table.
Well, it'll be fun for all your viewers.
Yeah. So I'm going to apologize for that now, so I don't get 400 comments about why are you making the table.
There was actually a really long earthquake that was going on. We're in California, after all.
Yeah. And we're California, so we don't even acknowledge earthquakes at this point.
I slept through one once. The big one that happened in Paso Robles. So I think there's more tribal things going on. So I feel like it'll be a more interesting draft set than Ixalan was. We'll see how much more interesting, and I could be flat wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be a little bit slower, and there'll be a lot more removal, which will allow for more control, and more control decks, that is. And that's it. I mean, that's kind of what I see. Otherwise, all of that is in comparison to Ixalan. I think it'll feel pretty similar to Ixalan, is my initial thought. By the way, real quick, this Thrashing Brontodon.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time they printed a 3/4 for 3.
Maybe. They printed a 3/5 for 3 once. I think it was.
Was there a downside? What card
it was a
that?
GGG.
4 or 5.
Oh, 4/5.
Yeah.
4/5 for 3. So.
But triple green is not exactly 3 mana.
That's fair. They did an 8/8 for 3.
Yeah, and it's colorless too, but it's also cumulative upkeep, sack a creature, which means first upkeep, sack a creature. Second upkeep, sack 2 creatures. Third upkeep, sack 3
you know
creatures.
what that means? There is a card from Hour of Devastation or Amonkhet that says don't put counters on things. That's an 8/8 for 3 with that card in play.
Beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter, then sacrifice. Yeah, that's a sweet combo. Except that you have to play a card that doesn't do anything and a 3 mana 8/8 that you kind of can't cast without the card. So that's not that sweet of a combo.
That's pretty much it. That sums up everything that we really want to talk about. Is there anything else about Rivals of Ixalan you want to talk about?
Will you be my rival on Ixalan?
Probably, eventually. I mean, we play a lot of Magic together. So, yeah.
I think of us as friends, not rivals.
I think that as well. I was trying to fit your question. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other thoughts that are counter to what we have, or you just think that we hit it right on the nose, please let us know in the comments below.
Alex will totally be paying attention. I will not.
Also, Twitter is a really easy way to... That's a better way to get in contact with me, which is I'm at Durwood773. If you comment below, I usually just don't. I check it like every couple days rather than on Twitter. I check it every couple minutes. But yeah, that's it for today. Anything else you want to say? This is your first video. I have to do a video a day every day of the year. You're going to be in other videos.
What? I don't think I agreed to this.
There are other Magic sets coming out this year.
Well, that's true.
So
There's always one right around my birthday, too. That was unrelated to anything. May you always have lands and spells?
I don't. What about the people I play against? I don't.
No, them too. I don't want to win a game to mana screw.
I do.
It's no fun.
That's a free win.
It's not worth it. Wait. I'm the spike here. What are we talking about?
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
Okay, that's it. Would have been sorry, just without. Sorry, I'm gonna edit this. Took out this.
So I can do this?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. But by you doing that, that's a better chance I'm gonna leave this in.